Sometimes the world's all about saving, folks, and repurposing. As many of you guys know, probably about a month or month and a half ago, our oven died. As you can see here, we're ripping it out of the wall. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but several months back we turned this double oven into a planter box, taking out the two metal containers out of it and using it for carrots and so forth, and it worked out great. But also I remember mentioning in that video that we had these nice oven racks, and they weren't wrecked yet, and there's no reason to have them wrecked. They were fantastic. So while we took apart the electronics here in this video that we showed a while back and pulled the oven containers out, which eventually became planter boxes in the garden, or raised boxes, because it's kind of nice. They're made out of steel, they've got holes already in the bottom for the fan and everything else. It worked out really perfect. But we also gained the oven grates. Now, most people would have taken those oven grates and thrown them away, but they're very, very, very strong grates. And I didn't want to lose that. I thought there's got to be a purpose for it. I wasn't really sure. So as we finished up taking off this oven and taking things apart here, my other daughter, who's really not in the picture here much at all, came up with the idea that maybe she could make it into some shelving, and we could use it even for pots and pans and things. Well, that was the plan. So we took these over to the sink. So you can see they're a little dirty. They've had 2008 to 2025 dirt on them. We've cooked with them for years, but they are really solid. This was a Whirlpool oven with oven grates. I think there were like 3 grates. I think there were 3 grates in the top and 3 grates in the bottom. And for the most part, we used maybe 4 of them really heavily. So she got in here with, a little scrubby, and she just started cleaning them up and kind of making them shine. And they turned out to be, and like I said, really, really, really good shape. So once she got those things washed up, we set them on the ground and kind of cleaned them up, and she started getting ideas. And again, they're really strong, they're durable. Why just throw them away? It's just really a repurposing event. So we went out in the barn, and I grabbed a couple of, fence posts there and some rebar. And I thought, well, maybe we can do this with just some simple pieces. Now, I don't plan on keeping these fence posts in it. They were just to keep the rebar standing. So what she did is we put kind of wired onto the 4 legs of the rebar to hold it in place and get it level. And then she took some 2x4s here and kind of matched up where she wanted the grates. And then she went to, getting it welded on. Her preferred method with this, because the rebar is strong, but because we didn't want to wreck the oven grates with the actual welder, which looked to be a possibility if we didn't get it turned down enough, was she decided to braze them on. And it really did work well. So here she's on the second shelf here, and she's working away at it. She's just making sure things are level and things are plumb, if you know what I mean. Now she's onto the third shelf. And again, each time she put a successive shelf in, it got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, which was fantastic. And then eventually here it is, 4 shelves. 2 of the shelves, like I said, we still have. We can repurpose them for something else. And now she decided to get on to painting it. Now, rebar is kind of rusty. Let's just be honest with that. You aren't going to want some rusty old rebar in your kitchen. So I think painting it was the best thing to do. We talked about, just sanding it lightly, and which is what she did, and then mixing up some paint and do it. She chose to go with kind of the black on silver look. The grates have kind of a burnt silver tan look to them, and again, she decided to go black on the legs. And then we decided we'd touch the grates up too, and that wasn't very difficult at all. It was pretty easy to get everything kind of put together. So here she's getting into things here and getting it done. That's the first coat there on the legs, and now she's on to the kind of the second coat. We wanted to put enough coats on it so that it looks good and looks nice. The process of losing your oven, buying another $1,000 unit, the stress of not being able to cook in the farm in an oven for a week as you pull out the old one and make sure the measurements fit and get the new one and get it all hooked up and then slide it into place and then get back into your normal routine of life is pretty disturbing. But to think that this oven gave us 2 planter boxes, which we did carrots in this year, I believe, and Now it's made this really nice rack, which served several purposes. We took it here to the fair at fall, and she got a grand champion on it. And we'll be moving it into our kind of cooking area of the shop, where we're going to have pots and pans and everything else on it. It's just nice to know that, you know, the stove can be repurposed after the fact, and we didn't just junk everything in the landfill and just waste it. You know, God gave us this piece of equipment, this oven. We used it for, I don't know, 2008 to 2025, so quite a few years. And then we're able to even take it and go longer. I think down the road, what's going to be so special about this is that, you know, it'll always kind of be known to me as it sits in the room there with the pots and pans all on it. It'll always be known to me as kind of, you know, something that was, you know, repurposed. And sure, it'll always bring back memories of when the, you know, oven died as far as dating. But it'll be more special to me because, you know, it was made by Julia. And when you have something made by one of your kids that you're using and repurposing, it's even more loved. I know, you know, when I'm long and gone, somebody's going to see this thing and be like, yeah, I don't want it. And they're going to probably pitch it out. But to me, it has a purpose. It has a place. I didn't waste. And it's kind of special, and it turned out really good. So in this point here, she's just, you know, trying to make sure things are as good as it can be for as used as it is. And it's turning out great. So she's almost done here painting it. The type of paint, I should explain what we decided to do. Because it's rebar, because it's a hard metal, we decided to go with the Professional Automotive Paint by Rust-Oleum. I had some of it around for some of the trailers. And we also used on the grates kind of a flat tan that really matched what the grates were anyways. So there's that Rust-Oleum Professional High Performance Paint, and that was that Rust-Oleum spray that we sprayed on the grates. And then it was just a matter of letting it dry. We brought it into the shop because it's starting to get cold out here, and just made sure it just dried perfect. Once we let it dry for several days and really kind of cure in that paint, it's time to kind of put it together. So we threw the pots and pans on it as Julia's got here. Cup holders, some bowls. She put a couple plastic flowers at top to give it some decoration. Gotta love the girls. They always try to make things a little prettier. But it really turned out well, folks. What a way to save the old oven for future use. I love it. It's going to be around in my farmhouse for a long time. Please like, subscribe, and follow along. We need your views, folks. Thanks.